Many of us here. As all people should, we ask that you, the candidates, and all of us, seek the common good, especially for the poor, and concrete ways to give back to our community, to this community of Oakland. Just one little point for those who might need to know this: we have restrooms that are available. Go out the front door and to the left into the parish hall there, and you will see the restrooms beneath the clock. Thank you again, and welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Margaret. And to the candidates, number one, you can take your masks off. If you need to get a little bit more space, please do so. We've tried to accommodate as much as possible. On behalf of St. Columba, I would like to welcome you to our first Oakland Mayoral Candidate Forum. My name is Kevin Nichols, and I'm a local community organizer and parishioner here at St. Columba. I'm also the moderator for this discussion, for better or for worse. The mayor serves as a city chief executive and is responsible for overseeing the city's executive branch, appointing the city administrator, proposing a budget to the council, recommending measures and legislation for the city council's consideration, encouraging programs for the city's cultural, economic, physical, and social development, appointing members to boards and commissions, and representing the city in intergovernmental relations. As Oakland residents learn more about the candidates that have volunteered to serve as their next leader, let us take a moment to pray before embarking on this forum. Please bow your heads. Heavenly Father, thank you for these 10 individuals who have said yes to lead the city of Oakland into its next chapter. Please touch the members of this audience. Allow them to hear for clarity and understanding, and help them to make the appropriate decision of whom they should vote for in this upcoming election. And whoever is selected does their best to improve the quality of life of all of its residents, including those who are unhoused. We ask this in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. All right. Okay, couple of logistics before we get started with our forum. I'd like to call up some of our partnering organizations who help sponsor this wonderful event. So first and foremost, I'd like to call up Faith in Action East Bay. And that mic. It might be on.
Thank you.
Let me turn it on. Thanks. My bad. There you go.
Faith in Action East Bay, or FIAEB, reflects our growth into building power together with community leaders from across Alameda and Contra Costa counties. We're a multi-faith, multiracial network made up of more than 80 congregations and 30 schools that include over 60,000 families. Faith in Action East Bay leaders organize around the issues that reflect our communities, including access to affordable housing, excellent public schools, ending mass incarceration, civic engagement, and just immigration policies to create family reunification. Faith in Action East Bay is a member of PICO, California, and the Faith in Action National Network. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next, we have the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc., Oakland Bay Area chapter.
Good evening. So glad to see everyone here. I'm Diane Lewis. I'm actually representing both the National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Oakland Bay Area chapter, and the Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority, Alpha Nu Omega chapter. The National Coalition of 100 Black Women is a national organization with over 62 chapters. We promote leadership development and gender equity, primarily in the areas of health, education, and economic empowerment. And we also promote and engage in civic engagement, voting, voter registration, voter education, and turning out to vote. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated's mission is to cultivate and encourage high scholastic and ethical standards, to promote unity and friendship among college women, to study and help alleviate problems concerning women and girls in order to improve their social status, to maintain a progressive interest in college life, and to be of service to all mankind. Thank you.
Thank you. Knights of Peter Claver and the Ladies Auxiliary, if you are present. Mr. Harper. I will speak on behalf of both. The Knights of Peter Claver and the Ladies Auxiliary their local chapter here is based here at St. Columba. They do a number of philanthropic activities to help young Black men and women become Catholic and serve the Lord. Peter Claver was a saint who devoted his life to taking care of enslaved Africans, and that's why the organization is named after him. So on behalf of the Knights and Ladies, I would like to welcome you. Black Women Organizing for Political Action and for the National Association of Advancement of Colored People will have Audrey Momo speak on behalf of both organizations.
Good evening, everybody. Audrey Shola representing on behalf of both organizations. The Oakland NAACP is proud to have supported civil rights actions for our Black community and community at large, from our work with literacy to our Souls to the Polls. We continue to hold our leaders accountable to advancing civic justice. And if you'd like to learn more about us, please reach out to me afterwards. And the same with the Black Women Organizing for Political Action. We are proud to have women in our membership at the local, state, and federal level, proudly representing us and advocating for all of our priorities and beliefs. So again, please reach out to me, and in the interest of time, I will give the mic back.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, we have the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Berkeley Bay Area Alumni Chapter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Patrina Alexander Pertite. I'm the president of the Berkeley Bay Area Alumni Chapter of Delta Sigma Theta, a sorority that is founded on social action. And our chapter serves the Berkeley, Oakland, Emeryville, Alameda service area. And we're here tonight because public awareness around political issues is one of our tenets. Political involvement and action is what we're committed to. So we are appreciative of the opportunity to be here tonight, to hear from all the candidates and make sure that our community is informed. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, let's get right to it. So as you can see, we have a number of candidates here. And due to the number of candidates, we have to limit certain things, such as time for opening statements, as well as the length of time to answer questions sufficiently. Moreover, we're not going to be able to take questions from the audience. We are streaming this live via Zoom as well, so we're not going to be able to do either of those because of time, unfortunately. This is a forum, not a debate. In keeping with our faith and principles, we're asking each candidate to differentiate yourself in terms of the substance of your policies and perspectives and not by attack. Our community wants to know who you are, not who you are not like. And even if there is a disagreement, please be civil. Here are the rules that we will follow to make this candidate forum a success. Number one, candidates are expected to maintain polite and civil discourse. Any incivility will be stopped by me and may result in expulsion from the forum. Each candidate will have a 1.5 minute opening statement and 2 minutes to answer questions. Candidates do not have to use the entire time allotted, just FYI. So you can be brief if you like. Audrey Momo, who's right here, can raise her hand, she will be our timekeeper, and she will give you a 30-second warning before your time expires. Last rule, if a candidate mentions another candidate, either by name or innuendo, that candidate is allowed a 15-second rebuttal. However, this practice is highly discouraged. So please don't reference other people and or mention them without mentioning their names. All right, having gone through all of this, I thought I had you guys all in alphabetic order, but that's okay. We're going to go with your candidate introductions, though, in alphabetic order, first name. So Alyssa Victory, you'll go first.
And how much time do we have?
You have a 1.5 minutes, and Audrey will give you the 30-second rundown. All right? And you'll start when you start.
All right. I was going to try to stand, but it doesn't seem the mic is going to stretch. I'm Elisa Victory Villanueva. I'm number 7 on your ballot. I'm a daughter of Oakland who was raised not too far from here on 58th and Shattuck. And I've lived in every city district growing up here. I've even been homeless in the city. I'm impacted by the issues that I want to solve. And I've been raised here serving my entire life, this city, serving through my church in West Oakland, True Vine Missionary Baptist, doing food and clothing distribution almost every weekend with my mother from the time I was 9 years old all through high school. I started serving for educational justice and equity as the lead student organizer with Youth Together Oakland. It gave me my first job, first checks, and I committed my life to justice. I'm a civil rights attorney now, first in my family to go to college and to law school. My degree is concentrated in government. I've been serving our government as an advisor on public banking, public safety, and civil rights in all areas. I'm running to serve you. I'm running to fight for you. I've already fought my way onto this ballot after illegal disqualification. Thank you.
Excellent. And when you do reach your time, Audrey will politely say, thank you. Okay? Gregory Hodge, you are next.
Yeah, it really is not going to stretch. Good evening, everybody. My name is Greg Hodge, and I'd be honored to serve as your next mayor. Margaret, something that you said sticks with me, which was that this is about seeking common ground. The issues that are facing Oakland right now require all of us to be in much better collaboration, much better partnership, seeing beyond our normal way of doing things. As part of what I'd like to do tonight is just to acknowledge the Ohlone people whose land we sit on, acknowledge the ancestors who are represented on the walls of this sacred space, the work that they put in, the work that every generation puts in requires us to do a little bit better, every generation, to make sure that we keep ourselves safe, that we keep ourselves housed, that we educate our children, that we make sure that the city is the cleanest city that we can possibly be. During a 40-year career that I've enjoyed here in Oakland, I've raised 5 children. I've been involved in a number of organizations, from the Brotherhood of Elders Network a member of the Oakland Unified School Board, where I served for 8 years. A consensus builder is what I really aspire to. I facilitate a lot of meetings, a lot of conversations that happen in city government, for instance, were part of the facilitation job that I had
Thank
last
you.
year. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Greg. Next, we have Ignacio de la Fuente.
Thank you very much. And thank you for being here tonight and giving us your time. My name is Ignacio de la Fuente. I had the privilege of serving you in the city council for a little bit over 20 years. And I believe that I built a reputation of a person that got things done in the city, the district that I represented. And I'm coming back after 10 years of being out of the city council for the same reasons that the seniors and grandparents come back. When a family is in crisis, you come back and try to help. Well, I'm coming back because I believe that the city is in crisis. I believe that we're facing a crisis of crime and homeless encampments that are taking over our city. We're in trouble. And I believe that we got to go back to the basics of what city government is all about. To provide services, to make sure that you're safe, to make sure that you can walk the streets, to make sure that the cities are clean, to make sure that the city functions. That's the only reason why I'm coming back. I have no other aspirations except serving one term as mayor, to get things done for you and to make sure the city gets back on track. So thank you for the time.
Next, we have John Raymond. Did I pronounce it correctly?
I'm running for city council because this country and this city is in trouble. And the trouble is exemplified by two people who are sitting here. You have one candidate who believes that slavery was good for African people, who believes that crooked Jews and black Jews are running the country, and who believes in gun violence. That candidate is sitting next to me here, Peter Liu. You have another candidate who wants to see corporate America ravage the environment even more than it has already, who supports the coal industry, who supports trickle-down economics, and who basically supports global warming. That candidate who just spoke, Ignacio de la Fuente. And these two candidacies exemplify exactly the danger that we face here in this country today, of a renewed power of the fascist-connected Democratic Party and the disaster of global warming. That's what I'm running, that only movement from below can change that. I'm also the only candidate who opposes the Howard Street Terminal ripoff.
Okay, Mr. Liu, you have 15 seconds to reply.
Kanye life matters. All right, he's a civil rights hero. That's why I'm dressing like Kanye today, to make a statement. All right, he's a victim of oppression. All right, Kanye is a Christian. Right, he believes that babies should be born. Thank you.
Ignacio, you have 15 seconds to respond as well. You have 15 seconds to respond.
You want to respond to what he said?
Do you want to respond to what John said about you? It doesn't. You don't have to. I'm just allowing you the opportunity.
I didn't hear what he said. Can you repeat the question?
I was asking you, do you want to respond to the accusations that John made about you a moment ago?
15 seconds.
15 seconds.
You know, 15 seconds. I can tell you that desperation. At the end of the day, when in politics, at the end of the day, when people know that they are not making any wave or they are not delivering the message, they go to things that whatever. The fact is that
Thank you.
many organizations
Thank you.
are creating IEs and
Thank you.
creating PACs.
That's okay.
Not that we asked for it, but they have the right to do it.
Thank you. Okay, we'll continue now. Next, we have Lauren Taylor.
Good evening. Good evening, everybody. My name is Lauren Taylor. It is great to be back here at St. Columba Church. I grew up in a church, Progressive Missionary Baptist Church, right up the street at Alcatraz and King, and very familiar with many of my peers who grew up here. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a mentor to many young Oaklanders. I'm also professionally a biomedical engineer, a business operations consultant, But at my core, I am a kid from Oakland, born and raised here, a product of this incredible town, who could no longer sit on the sidelines when I saw the direction that my city is going. It was important for me to step up because I have not seen my city as dirty as it is. We have homelessness crisis that is out of control. When you drive from neighboring cities into this town, you see a stark contrast, one that I'm ashamed of and am committed to making sure that we address and actually move forward in. When my grandparents moved here in the 1940s from the segregated South, they moved here for the promise of a better life for themselves and for future generations of their family. I'm here in front of you as evidence of promises that were kept and dreams that were fulfilled. Too many Oaklanders today do not have those promises being kept and those dreams being fulfilled for them. I am running to be Oakland's next mayor so that we do deliver on that, so every Oaklander can live, work, learn, play, thrive right here in the city that they're from or have chosen to make their home. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Peter Liu.
This is the third time I'm running for mayor. What I want is a lot of entertainment in Oakland. I would turn every sizable park into a unique theme park experience for our kids. I want a giant water slide at Lake Merritt, bounce houses, horsey rides, zip line across the lake. This would bring a lot of tourism to Oakland, give people a lot of jobs, and it's gonna be lit, all right? I want to make this city the #1 city for romance in the Western Hemisphere, and that's how we're gonna reimagine Oakland, because we don't have any sports team anymore, all right, in the future. So we gotta reinvent ourselves to be an entertainment powerhouse so that we could thrive. I'm a multi-millionaire, and I'm teaching people how to be making a lot of money with my grand plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Seneca Scott.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name is Seneca Scott. I am your neighbor. So good evening, neighbors. How y'all doing?
All right.
All right. So here's why I'm running. The offices of city council and mayor are the lowest level positions we have politically. And they are supposed to exist only to serve us. I felt a disconnect. I felt that neighbors and local businesses have been disenfranchised. We have been ignored. We have been bullied. And we have been gaslit from our elected government. All we get is more taxes with no accountability for it. Finding that $70 million went missing or unaccounted for our biggest issue, homelessness, once again, is the last straw. And I found that out after that I began running. So if you feel like me that you need a voice, and you want someone who's qualified to be your mayor, but also qualified to be your neighbor, take a look at Seneca Scott. My experiences and my bona fides are, I think, pretty cool. I'm a graduate of Cornell University. I've been many things in my life: a union leader, a farmer, nonprofit leader. I make music. I wrote scripts. That's Oakland. We're creative. We have unbound, untapped potential. So I want to bring that creativity to Oakland with the belief that we all deserve better, and we need to get our city back on track with pragmatic leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Shing Kao. And please correct me if I mispronounce your name. Charge it to my head, not my heart.
Thank you. Testing. Okay. Good evening, everyone. My name is Shang Tao, and I have the honor of serving Oakland as Council President Pro Tem. And I'm running to be Oakland's next mayor because we need a leader who can unify not only leaders at City Hall, but unify the whole city. I am honored to have the endorsement of the majority of council members sitting on the city council. And that's how we get real things done. Currently, right now, the mayor's office does not function well with the council members and vice versa. And that's problematic. And we are seeing that play out here in the city of Oakland, out in our streets. We see how dirty it is. We see public safety is at the top of mind for everyone. And that is not okay. We have to do better. And I know we can work together. I have been a champion of making sure that we can talk to all the different sides and silos to ensure that we have one North Star, and that is to move Oakland forward. Moreover, I am so proud to have the endorsement of city workers. City workers trust me to lead the city. City workers know that I will have their backs so that they can do the real work of actually getting the work done. More so than that, they know that I will be a mayor who will fill in the vacancies, which we have between 25 and 40% vacancies in every department. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, we have Treva Reed.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Treva Reed. I'm an Oakland City Council member, and I'm running to serve as our mayor to deliver for all of us with solutions and not excuses, with the level of change, accountability, action, and results that we deserve all across this town to get us back on track. My life experience has been about action and accountability. I'm a resilient single mother. I raised my amazing daughter here in Oakland, and fortunate through our trauma and drama of our life that she was able to earn a full ride to Harvard University. And so I fight for families to have that same measure of whatever that desired life outcome is for them. I've worked in state government for Senator Nancy Skinner when she was our state budget chair and state assembly member. I've led in Fortune 500 companies, great success for those companies. I've launched my own small business. I've helped to lead out with our family small business that's still here 2 decades later on Piedmont Avenue. And I've worked for organizations or served on 12 community boards and organizations throughout the city, including BWAPA as a state policy advisor with my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority, Inc., and as a licensed minister with Shiloh Church. I lead with integrity and a deep well of love, fighting for community members like mine who know and have lived the deep trauma of losing their loved one to gun violence, as our son Brandon was murdered on Halloween night in 2013. Families like mine who face the threat of homelessness. And so I'm here to make sure that we reduce crime, house our unhoused, keep our small businesses open, and our community working. I hope you'll hear more from me.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, and I'm gonna sit here for the questions because standing in front of you seems weird, and I don't know and it's kind of creepy. So I'm gonna stand here and ask the questions. I provided, for the audience, I provided 3 questions. We have more than 3 questions, but we provided 3 questions in advance to the candidates because rather than people thinking on the fly or coming up with something that just comes to mind, we wanted them to at least think about and prepare their answers because these questions are very important to us, but also their response is equally as important. So we're going to, I think I'm going to...
Can you get closer to us so we can...
Oh, you can't hear me?
I have a hard time kind of hearing you.
Okay, no problem.
Speak to us.
I'm hearing myself, but I guess it's...
I know.
Well, I'm deaf, so I'm not having a write-in.
Oh, okay. We were going to have some translator and some interpreters here too. I apologize for that. All right, I will speak loudly and hopefully you guys can hear me and you guys can see, excuse my back. Our first question is on gun violence. And I titled this question, Too Many Crosses in Our Garden. While certain nonviolent crimes decreased in Oakland between 2020 to 2021, violent crime climbed by some 8% during that same period. Assaults with a firearm increased 20% from 2020 to 2021. Last year, the city of Oakland reported 133 homicides, Oakland's deadliest year since 2006. We've seen multiple shootings on our freeways claiming innocent lives. What are your specific plans to address the explosion of gun violence in our communities? And the mention to the crosses, when you came inside of our church and you see our garden, we have a cross there which represents every person in Oakland who's been murdered. So we're asking you, what are your specific plans to address the explosion of gun violence in our communities? We'll start, to make it easy, we'll start this way with Tariva, and we'll go all the way down so that everyone has an opportunity to speak.
Time.
Y'all have 2 minutes to address this. And Audrey will give you the 1:30, she'll give you the 30-second nod. Go ahead.
We are in a state of emergency. The unchecked lawlessness that has wreaked havoc over our city has caused too many of us to live with fear under the weight of trauma and the deeper need for our community to come together. We all deserve to be in a safe, healthy, thriving community. And while I serve as the council member for East Oakland, where the weight of significant amounts of violence and crime has long crippled us, we know that that is impactful for us throughout this entire city. So one of the first actions that I led out on was declaring gun violence a public health crisis, calling on the city and the county to make deeper investments into violence prevention, intervention, and healing and trauma care and gender-based trauma as well. I've also led out from day one making sure that we put forth cost-neutral budget amendments, making sure that we advance police academies, and that was not fully supported in the budget last year, to make sure that we have adequate police resources and are able to respond, making sure that we build up Oakland-grown pipelines of those who are serve our city, and as mayor, making sure that we have at least 4 academies, having the criminal investigators to address the 1,000 unsolved homicides. I've been here laying crosses at this altar and standing out with families like mine who know that trauma of gun violence and homicide. Making sure that we have 911 responders, making sure that ceasefire is fully expanded as we work to leverage that with partners like Faith in Action East Bay throughout this city. Making sure that we have the ability to leverage all technology and resources that we have as I've worked to advance with license plates readers, surveillance in business corridors, foot patrols, community safety officers. Making sure that we also have a deeper partnership with our DA and our sheriff's office as those new roles will be coming on. Making sure that we expand MACRO, our mobile assistance community responders of Oakland, our non-sworn officers, to meet and expand all over the city versus the pilot that we've launched in East Oakland and West Oakland. I am committed to our public safety goals and will lead out and deliver with great courage as I have already. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Tony Khan.
Thank you. I'll be sitting as we answer the questions just because the mic doesn't really work well when you're standing. Public safety is my #1 priority. It is not okay that I have to tell my son, and that you all probably tell your children, that please don't go walk around the block because it's not safe. That's what everybody's feeling. That's at top of mind. And so for me, it's about making sure that we double down on the violence prevention programs that we know help reduce violent crimes. And I am the only candidate who did vote to invest in these programs, and will continue that leadership by doubling the violence prevention funds. More so, we saw that the city administration last year cut ceasefire. That was something that we knew they shouldn't have done. And so myself, along with other council members, fought to get funding back for ceasefire. We have to expand ceasefire and other programs like that. But more so than that, we need to address the root causes of crime by creating more jobs and educational opportunities across the city for our young people. When we talk about public safety, we have to also discuss how we are investing in our young people. How are we giving them the opportunities and pathways that shows them that success looks different, but it is that there is hope out there. And that's what I want to do. I want to also fill the police vacancies now with experienced and diverse officers, which I am the author of putting forward a resolution saying that we must diversify and localize our police officers. I worked with the police chief along with the city administration on incentives. And those incentives, I also worked to ensure that we receive 5 votes to pass these. And we are seeing that we have brought back officers, at least 5 officers that were trained by OPD. And that saves us money, and it also fills in the vacancies. We must also reorient our police to focus more on violent crime and reform how we deploy our best cops to stop the violence before it starts. And more so than that, we need officers in our business corridors. This is something that I always argue about with our current mayor. It is incredibly important that we redouble our efforts to get illegal guns off our streets. Thank you so much.
Next, we have John Raymond.
Well, first of all, when we talk about crime and violence, we have to realize there's another type of crime. When somebody has their rent go up from $800 a month up to $3,000, that's crime too. And it's directly related to poverty. I'm the only candidate that calls for a $28 an hour minimum wage. That would be a huge step towards resolving the problem of crime. We also, it's a tradition in America to look at the surface and to content ourselves with happy phrases and nice sounding words. But we need a campaign a grassroots movement from below to bring people together to campaign to change society. That's what we saw in the civil rights movement. That's what I saw. That's what I saw in Ferguson. We need to build a movement like that here in Oakland as a start to building a movement like that across the country and around the world.
Thank you. Next, we have Peter Liu.
I'm a 100% service-connected combat veteran, and I have killed terrorists, all right? My concern is we're not able to defend ourselves because the police chief isn't issuing concealed carry permits. So if I am mayor, I'll have the new police chief, they'll be issuing concealed carry permits like candy, all right? There'll be a $50 lifetime permit, all right, with a clean background check of no felony within 10 years. I'll also have each officer to organize an armed neighborhood watch of 7 to 25 volunteer so that they would able to protect neighborhoods in case if there's any activities, because we don't have police resources to go after criminals, all right? So you guys, we have to defend ourselves, all right? And as for the youth, we would have to teach them how to be rich the legal way. I got a platform called CESC5 that teaches people how to start up businesses, and they'll be successful. And when you're successful, you don't have to do all that crime just to make a living, like robbing banks or stuff. So as a self-made multimillionaire, I've been teaching people how to be rich the legal way so that they don't have to deprive the life and liberty of others. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
Yes, as a black man growing up here in Oakland, I understand deeply and personally all sides of our public safety challenges, the issues that we face, the injustices that have been caused. We are in a state of emergency. We do have historic levels of crime, gun violence. Our neighbors are afraid to go out of their homes to downtown, closing up their shops. We've got to do better. It requires, man, that time went fast. It requires that we have a both-and solution, prevention and being responsible and holding to the laws that we know exist to keep us safe, to uphold quality of life, and make sure that our residents can thrive. And so solutions have to include the increasing staffing of both sworn officers and non-officer civilian responders who can respond when the gun and a badge are over more than what we need. We also have to focus on proven violence prevention and deterrence programs, like our ceasefire program, like the violence interrupters who come to the scene of a gun violence, bringing resources to the victims to deter retaliatory acts. We also have to focus on helping educate our young people and our older people on how to resolve conflict, mediate challenges in a way that doesn't lead to physical violence and picking up the guns that are incessant on our streets. And we must acknowledge that there are way too many guns out there and we have to remove them. Really focusing on that removal is key. Mental health is a key challenge that underlies this, and we have to partner with our county and the school district to address that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Senator Scott.
The words "do not be afraid" appear in the Bible 365 times. Needless to say, is the theme. In Oakland, many of us are afraid. Nothing happens when you're paralyzed by fear. People don't want to spend money. People don't want to invest in our city. So we've got to get crime under control before we can move forward. We have to get the violence under control before that we can move forward. A big part of our violence is not just our permissiveness of open-air drug markets that's bringing predators to our city. That's half of it or more, but it's also our children who are the average committers of these violent crimes. What does it take for an 11-year-old child to carjack someone with a weapon, with a firearm, like happened last year? That's a hungry child. For love, attention, and food, and nourishment. We have food deserts, we have a lack of quality education, we have schools closing. We like to talk about root causes for issues that go back hundreds of years, but due to our failed leadership, we're creating new root causes every single day. We see them, the new root causes are robbing you. And when they rob you, what they're telling you is, we failed them. So what can we do about this? Pragmatically, we need more law enforcement, for sure. The average time for a 911 response time is nearly 20 minutes. The only way to solve that is more 911 dispatchers and more officers. Any other solution to that are nonsensical, unless you're going to immediately reduce the crime. That's not happening. So we need pragmatic, responsible leadership. We need to increase the size of our OPD, and we need to pay attention and love our children. Thank you.
Ignacio de la Fuente.
Thank you. Thank you. The reality is, there's the crisis because of the lack of leadership and the policies of this council. We are facing a crisis that we have never faced before. Why? Because our so-called progressiveness or liberalism, whatever you want to call it, has created an environment where people think that they can do in Oakland what they don't do anywhere else. We have created an environment that people come to Oakland, not only to illegal dumping everything in Oakland, but to do things that they don't do anywhere else. Sideshows, you name it. Why? Because we have allowed it to happen. We have created an environment that you come to Oakland to do whatever you want to do with no consequence. We got to go back to the basics and start enforcing the laws that we have, the rules that we have in the books. We got to enforce them. Now because it's election time, we support the police, but we defunded the police. We attacked the police. We refuse to give them the tools to do their job like other cities do. That's why we have different problems that other cities have. Why we have them homeless than any other city in the county? Because we let them, we allow them. Why other cities are not doing their share? Because they don't have to, but they come because they come to Oakland. We gotta go back to the basics and care about Oakland and care about the residents. We spend more time talking about homelessness, talking about affordable housing for people that are not even here, and forget about the residents of the city. I'm running to represent you, to represent the citizens that pay taxes, to represent the citizens that are afraid to walk on the streets. I'm going back to the basics. Nothing fancy, just what we're supposed to do.
Next we have Greg Hart.
Yeah. I think we can all agree that the crisis, the challenge that's before us is around our public safety. Law enforcement is what we do to people. Public safety is what we do with people. We need a comprehensive approach, because really we're going to all agree that there's a crisis. The question is what the approach will be. The comprehensive approach that we are advocating includes full funding, triple the funding of the Department of Violence Prevention, to bring in 700 full-time police officers and redeploy those resources on the things that are the most serious offenses, the most serious crimes, and reestablish an Office of Community Beautification in the Public Works Department, because the environment, the illegal dumping, the garbage, the blight that we see in Oakland contributes to our feeling of not being safe. I want the crosses in St. Columbo's garden to be obsolete. I don't want to see another cross go up. But in order to get there, we got to make sure that we bring hope and healing to the city, because a lot of us don't feel good about our city because we've lost hope in our city. So there are some intangibles that actually matter. It's not normal to bury our children. It's not normal to have to eulogize our children as I've had to do as a minister. It's not normal to go to memorial services for somebody like Dirk Tillotson. So the lack of a strategy, one of the things that matters to me a lot is that we create a strategy similar to what we did in the city of Richmond. I was one of 3 consultants that helped create the Richmond Office of Neighborhood Safety, and the fundamental difference between what DVP is doing and what we're doing is we bring formerly incarcerated people back home. Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought that was my time. There were formerly incarcerated folks who came back to Richmond, who work in the community. It became a jobs program as well as a way to prevent crime.
A technical note that these are not the microphones that you hold close to your mouth. They're for wider picking up, so the further you hold it away, the better. It won't do the popping. Okay, go ahead, your turn.
Thank you for the question. I am, huh? Okay.
You did.
You can stand if you'd like. You just have to project your voice, but you don't need to hold the mic too close to your mouth.
Okay. Y'all can hear me? Yeah. All right. Again, I'm Elisa Victory Villanueva, number 7 on your ballot. I am the only practicing criminal justice attorney who is running for mayor. So public safety is one of my top 3 priorities. But public safety depends on us, the public. They say nothing stops the bullet like a job. All right, so when people are in economic crisis, housing crisis, pandemic health crisis, we will see public safety in crisis if we are not serving and addressing all of those issues comprehensively. Right, policing mostly happens on the back end when there's already crimes. I've witnessed a lot of shootings in my neighborhood in San Antonio Park in the 20s. I've witnessed a lot of violence growing up here. Violence has been normal in many parts of our city, and now it's affecting all of us because we failed to intervene. Policing is not the only answer. I heard that gun violence is declared as a public health emergency. So where are the health resources? Where are the health professionals? We need to have trauma-informed care. We need to be partnering with our students. I've been talking to teachers at King Estates campus who witnessed shootings last month, who are not able to return to work from that trauma. If our teachers can't go to work, how are students supposed to? How are they supposed to show up? That's why I'm already partnering with our school board candidates and some of our school board members on bringing real services back to our schools, counseling, mental health, and trauma-informed care, violence prevention resources about de-escalation, about nonviolent communications. We definitely have to invest more in violence prevention. Even if we double or triple the department, it would still be only a fraction of our policing. And I'm running on delivering a just, equitable, and moral budget for all of our services and departments. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we're going to go to the next question. And we're going to answer going the opposite direction this time. The second question is under the title of Executive Management. What management or executive experience have you had that will inform you how you hold the city administrator accountable to produce measurable outcomes and recruit for the position of city administrator and department heads? Let me say that one more time. What management or executive experience have you had that will inform you how you will hold the city administrator accountable to produce measurable outcomes and recruit for positions of the city administrator and department heads? Alyssa, you'll go first.
Thank you for the question. Elisa Victory Villanueva, number 7 on your ballot. I am the youngest in this race, but not young in experience. I first began to manage when I was in college, running a student-operated center. I was a director of internal affairs, managing 25 interns who were doing educational equity, outreach, and retention work to keep our students of color at UC San Diego. When I started there, it was 0.7% Black students. I also helped lead the founding of the campus's Black Resource Center, which started with a 6-figure budget, helped to hire the center's first executive staff and their student interns. That was when I was still a student, paying tuition to that university. I then went on to college, graduated college, went on to law school. helped found the Diversity Coalition at UC Hastings School of Law, which is now UC San Francisco School of Law, and helped to organize across not just my law school, but law schools in the region to provide more services to students who look like me, who are first generation, who are Black, who are women, because we are a minority in this profession. I've also served as executive staff on the African Black Coalition, our largest Black and African student network in the state. Shout out to Anya, who is here, who also ran for Superintendent of Education. And I served as our Community Programs Bureau Director for several years, building out different service programs, feeding our unhoused, partnering with different coalitions, signing on to labor organizing with this city, and helping to deliver a mobile health clinic that we started to pilot in Los Angeles. I've also served as the California Employment Lawyers Association statewide fellow, representing our everyday workers. I am a union member and also union counsel. And if you're listening, I have multiple jobs and roles that I hold while running this campaign right now. Please learn more about me at victoryforoakland.com.
Thank you. Next, we have Beverly Haas.
No, this is a question that's really important to me. I've had a 40-year career here in the city running a range of organizations where I've learned how to manage both people and budgets. Starting with Urban Strategies Council in the 1990s, where we did a lot of work around issues of chronic poverty. We had a data unit, so I understand policy from a data perspective as well as dealing with folks. We started the Freedom Schools program, which I was the first director of Freedom Schools for the first I got the hand signals now. We're kind of like playing baseball now. This, California Tomorrow, the Brotherhood of Elders Network, Executive Alliance for Boys and Men of Color, which is a national organization. Relevant experience around Safe Passages. Safe Passages is a joint powers authority-based organization that includes the school district, the Board of Supervisors, the city government, and I was the first director of that program. We managed the Oakland Fund for Children and Youth, which was a 2.5% budget set aside for the city of Oakland. We worked with the city administrator during last year's council retreat. One of the things I was able to do was have an interview with each council person, with the mayor, with the city administrator, and learned a few things about the relationships that don't exist between the city administrator and the city government and the mayor. We're inheriting an exhausted workforce, is what one of my friends said to me as she was retiring. So it's going to make a big difference around who has the management experience, who can bring people together the way we did with the African American Response Circle, where we raised $1 million and worked to bring COVID relief to our community. Thank you.
Thanks. Ignacio de la Fuente.
Thank you. As I said at the beginning of this session, I served you in the city council for over 20 years. I balanced and managed more than 10 budgets during that time. I was the president of council for 11 years. I retired as an international vice president with the Steel Workers of America, managed the entire West Coast. So believe me, I have the ability to do that. But it's more important, really, to make sure that you actually deliver, that you actually manage and show the results of what people do. I think accountability in Oakland is a must. The answer always is raise more taxes and instead of using the resources that we have. Here we go. I'm opposing the tax that is on the ballot in November, the so-called progressive tax. I think it's bad for Oakland. I think it's just an excuse that we need more money. I think it's gonna limit our ability to retain businesses and attract businesses. We gotta manage, and that's what it's all about. When you can just reach and raise taxes, you don't have to manage. I believe that Oakland has enough people to do the job. I think we believe we get enough resources to do our job. We just have to manage our resources. And believe me, I'm ready to do that. That's the reason why I think that most people in the city are very concerned with me getting elected, because I know what we can do. I know how to negotiate. I know what people have to deliver. And I can tell you that I have no other fish to fry except Oakland in the right way, in the right sense of the word.
Next, we have Senator Scott.
Peace, y'all. Senator Scott, number 1 on the ballot. I love that. So check it. I came to Oakland as the East Bay Director of SEIU 1021. And my job was to negotiate, not only run East Bay operations, but to negotiate on behalf of the union and city workers. And I negotiated contracts as north as Richmond, as south as Fremont, and as east as San Ramon, including Bug, Sanitation District, housing authorities, and the Port of Oakland. So when you negotiate a union contract, I had to deal with the city administrator on the other side of the table as their counterpart. And that's a big range of experience when you're dealing with it from both angles. So here's what I used to tell our union members, and I'm going to tell my neighbors the same thing. If I'm your mayor, here's how it works. Every policy city council wants, anything that we do, we need to draw a direct line to improve the more efficient city services. And that's it. And I will see it through because I can sell it to you and get your consent. That's what you want, right? More efficient city services, less money, better service. So, working with the city administrator, we're going to make sure that we do that we identify people who can actually see it through. Another big issue here is dealing with the labor unions. Let me tell y'all a little secret. Is the time? How much time I got? Oh.
Still got more time. Pull the microphone a little bit further.
As a union leader, we had to deal with our staff union. And the dirty secret is we couldn't stand them. We couldn't stand our staff union. Okay, and here's why. Many times they try to not do their job and use the union to get away with it. So I know how that works from both angles, and I'll make sure that we train our managers so that they can get the most out of our employees, to make sure that they're required to do their job, they can't hide behind the union, and that they show up for the city of Oakland every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
So in Oakland, and I love Oakland because we've got no shortage of great ideas, values, aspirations, goals, but what we lack is the ability to execute and deliver. The ability to actually make sure that we are realizing the value of all of those ideas, all of the talent, all of that potential that we have. And so that's why this question is so important. Executive management requires someone who can lead us and move us from idea to value, delivery, and realization. And that's exactly what I've done my entire career. As an engineer, solving tough, complex problems, as a business management consultant with an MBA from Haas School of Business at UC Berkeley, I have focused on helping companies, organizations, large and small, local and global, deliver for their stakeholders. And that's exactly what I will do as Oakland's next mayor. When we talk about delivering not just the what, but the how, there are a number of gaps that we have within our city, things that align with work that I have done in my past. So I'm going to point to three specifically. First of all, we do not have a performance management system that allows us to measure the progress we are making against our goals. It should be as simple as you or even my 13-year-old daughter going online and saying, how is our public works department performing against its prioritized goal? Our homelessness services division, our public safety department, or economic and workforce development. In my first 100 days in office, every department will have a performance dashboard that you can see and evaluate on how we're performing. Second, human resources. We have to make sure that the 20% vacancies that we have across our strategic, important departments, they get filled. I have led HR transformations. We have to make sure our contract management gets maximum value, and I've done that as well. Thank you.
Next, we have Peter Lewis.
If I get an administrator, it'll be like Kanye, who tells the truth, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's about making people rich, right? I'm a wealthy landlord, multimillionaire. I was once poor, and I want people to be prosperous, to know how to be rich. These schools are failing our kids. When they come out, they're looking for a failing job. Like $28 an hour? That's like nothing to me. I want kids to be able to make like $30,000 a month, that they know that America is based on capitalism and they could succeed to afford anything they want, just as I have. I am a combat veteran, poor. I came back. There was no jobs for me for 2 years until I have to start my own businesses and learn my way up. And now that I could teach people how to be multimillionaires as well. Thank you.
Okay, next we have John Raymond.
Well, again, I would urge, urge people to look beneath the happy-sounding phrases and think about what is the real concrete meaning. And quite frankly, I don't really agree with the premise of the question, which implies that if you're a business executive, that you are better able to represent working class, excuse me, working class people in this city. I think just the opposite. And we had a president for 4 years who proved just the opposite, including all the get-rich-quick schemes. So I believe that it has to be a movement from below that will change things. My own experience, I was involved from a youth. I was involved in the civil rights movement. I was involved in the movement against the Vietnam War. I was involved in my union, helping workers to organize to fight for their own rights. And I've also been involved in the workers' movement all around the world, from Chile, Egypt, Pakistan, and elsewhere. So just in conclusion, anybody that tells you that they can solve the problems for you as a candidate or as someone in political office, they're either naive or they're hoping you're naive. I'm not the vote for me, and I will make you free candidate. I'm the working class socialist candidate who says it's up to us to organize ourselves to fight for our own interests.
Thank you. Kim Todd.
Yes, I really appreciate this question. It's about being effective and results-driven. It's those results that we need. We are not seeing the results that we deserve here in the city of Oakland. And that is why it is so critical that the mayor's office can work cohesively with the council members. We are not seeing that right now. And I am proud, again, to have the majority of the city council members supporting and endorsing my campaign for mayor. And I do see Councilmember Fife is in the room tonight. Welcome, Councilmember Fife. More so than that, I've been doing this job in regards to what the mayor should be doing. Right? The mayor currently right now, I feel, has been hyper-focused on Howard Terminal, while we have homelessness and public safety, illegal dumping. And so when we came to license plate readers, as an example, I was able to pull together the police chief and also the chair of the Privacy Commission, two people who really doesn't get along. However, we were able to work through our differences and come up with a compromise. That is leadership. I was also able to bring in labor unions with big businesses, and we were able to spend 2 months having those hard discussions again. And we made a historical compromise where labor for the first time worked with big Chamber of Commerce, and it passed. I mean, we put on the ballot a progressive business structure. Measure T on your ballot. Please vote yes for Measure T. More so than that, I do have the backing of our labor unions. When we talk about HR and the vacancies all across the city, just not in OPD, but in every single department, we have to have a leader, a mayor who can work with labor unions. And I have their sole support from all of city workers because they trust me and they know that I will come to the table through negotiation with respect and honor. That's how we get effective results in the city of Oakland. Thank you.
Next, we have Treva Reed.
Yes. As mayor, I will do what I've been doing in Fortune 500 companies and certainly owning my own small business. Establish and publicize and track and monitor the goals that we are prioritizing and holding ourselves accountable to, and making that information public for assessment and encouragement on where and how we are actually tracking ourselves on that progress, making sure that we are abiding by the policies, that I have the adequate staff in place to get the job done. I've done that as a regional marketing, sales, and service manager for Ford Motor Company, where I work to build on very strained corporate relationships between the corporate and the region that I covered, Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. I led a region in this nation that was in the bottom 5 with the lowest performance to the top 5 in less than a year, working on those improved relationships, working to deliver on business plan development, working on sales, marketing strategies, working to engage in these communities to understand how we need to make more customer-driven solutions to actually get the vehicle sold or the service managed in the best way. I've done it as a small business owner. I launched my own small business, Triumphant Women, where we work to empower women like me, single mothers, who need to have a measure of resilience from seasons of their life where maybe their confidence crumbled. Working in partnership with Oakland and Elizabeth House, working in partnership with Wardrobe for Opportunity. I have hired and led in small and large organizations in many different other companies that I've worked for, making sure that we have the right team in place that honors the values that get the work done. I have served as the president of Alameda County Stop Waste and Reduction Board. I served as the recycling industry expert. I was appointed by supervisors, council members, and mayors to lead out in that role as president to oversee millions of taxpayer dollars for environmental stewardship. I've served as the president of a number of community boards. I served on 12 community boards before I came into office, and I've worked diligently to make sure that I led out on strategies and solutions that showed up with results and working to transform lives.
Thank you. Okay. So for our next question, I've also been getting feedback. You guys are doing really well as far as sound goes in the church. On Zoom, the further the mic is, it's difficult for people to hear. So the happy medium would keep the microphone around this area and try to speak loudly, okay? That way we can have everybody who's participating listen. Question number 3, and we're going to start at this end with Treva. 2030 Equitable Climate Change Act. Oakland has adopted some optimistic climate change goals. What programs will you support to achieve Oakland's 2030 Equitable Climate Change Action Plan goals, and how can you, or how will you involve the most impacted communities?
Well, Oakland's environmental climate action plan, it came through an intentional community equity-driven strategy. And it's not fully funded. So one of the first things that I need to do is to make sure that we get some funding sources so that we can actually implement the plan that's in place. We've got to make sure that the communities who are most impacted and harmed, particularly those in the flatlands, that we begin to invest in a deeper amount of infrastructure to build up the capacity for people to be alive and healthy. When sea level rises, it impacts a number of different areas. It impacts those who are unhoused on our street. We've got to make sure that we've got shelter, that people are housed with dignity in safe places. We've got to make sure that our utility providers, who certainly can be impactful to us with power outages. When I worked for PG&E, one of the areas that we worked with was to address the climate resiliency along our watershed and making sure that the infrastructure that supports people having the power that they need to keep people healthy and alive with different equipment, that was in place. Making sure that we invest in the communities who are most impacted, who have not had the benefit of infrastructure and facilities. Some of the things that we are doing right now, one, I've got to make sure that we seek targeted state and federal funding. There is an initiative called Justice 40. It's one of President Biden's initiatives that really helps to invest more deeply into communities that are underserved, that are under-resourced, that are low-income communities, to make sure that we address more targeted environmental solutions against the hazards that they face. I served on the steering committee for AB 617. It's an initiative that's community-driven to make sure that we address the issues of environmental pollution, air impacts, industries that are impactful to the community, and we're expanding that not just from West Oakland, but into East Oakland right now. We've got to make sure that we prioritize funding to make sure that communities who are multilingual, who need outreach and education around our climate resilient efforts, around our ECAP, are supported. Some of the things that we're doing right now is that we can expand the San Leandro Creek Urban Greenway. It's a 1.5 trail that allows for our community to be connected from East Oakland and West Oakland along bike paths, supporting our bicycle plan that was established in 2019, and working with our BPAC advisors to make sure that it's realized for access and equity throughout the city.
Thank you.
You know, politics is a little tricky. You have to follow the money. You have to follow who is funding each of the campaign, and I am proudly supported by labor unions, bus drivers, city workers, grocery workers, nurses, firefighters. Remember when we called them our essential workers? Now some of us are trying to call them special interests. But that's who I'm funded by the people that work and live here day to day. And so my plan in regards to climate resilience, and I am proudly solely endorsed by Sierra Club, 350.org, and many others, is that when I am mayor, I want to actually implement a bold climate policy where there is no coal, a permanent ban on coal exports from port, partner with businesses and labor to bring green energy and manufacturing jobs here in Oakland, to create a public power option for Oakland and support tax breaks to encourage more green building and manufacturing, because we can be the green hub in the East Bay. Work to reserve decades of environmental racism, work with regional partners to bring the port up to clean air standards, to improve local air quality, bring more parks and trees and green spaces to formerly redline neighborhoods, create a local civilian climate corps and youth planting team, cleaning up watersheds and restoring habitat, and expand our fresh food access in East and West Oakland by attracting more grocery stores, bring more equitable bus and transit programs to East and West Oakland, and support lower income residents in making their homes more energy efficient. More so than that, we need to make Oakland a transit-first city. Support dense, transit-oriented, affordable housing throughout the whole city. Streamline the approval process for speed limit reductions, traffic calming measures, and other life-saving traffic deterrents.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have John Raymond.
Well, we face a climate emergency in this country and in this world, and every single project here in Oakland should be considered from that point of view, starting with the Howard Terminal project. I'm the only candidate who opposes the Howard Terminal project, and this whole community benefit stuff is just putting lipstick on a pig. It will not, especially as far as climate emergency, it will not do anything as far as that. We also have to recognize that no steps that Oakland can take by itself can do anything significant as far as warding off this disaster that's facing our younger generation. The basis of the problem is an unplanned economy that is run for profit and profit only, and incidentally, those who call for basically trickle-down economics, that just exacerbates the problem. Some of them are here on this platform tonight. So we need a working class party that is dedicated to the idea of ending an economy that's profit-driven and is completely unplanned. We need a working class party to transform the entire economy, and why shouldn't it start here in Oakland? Oakland has led the way in the past, from the Black Panther Party on forward. We can lead the way again by building a movement like that.
Thank you. Next, we have Peter Liu.
All right, we need nuclear fallout shelters, right? The United States is supplying weapons to Ukraine, and the Russians might do some nuclear tactical attacks, right? So we got to prepare for that, right? It's wartime, right? Now these shelters that we'll build will be underground, right? It could be in the Oakland Hills, down below. We got to start digging, right? And then these it could be served as homeless shelters for the temporary being. And when people need to be evacuated, either due to climate change, we have to have the capacity to evacuate people. That's why I'm advocating for each police officer to set up a neighborhood watch of 725 volunteers so that we could call up at least 4,000 people to evacuate people to these shelters if there's a nuclear detection that has been launched. All right, we only have like 30 minutes to like 2 hours, depending on the speed of the warhead that's traveling at either 2 to 6 Mark 2 to 6. All right, so that is something important that we need to consider. And yeah, thanks.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
Is this distance
Hold
all right?
a little closer.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Right here?
Yeah,
okay. Just make sure this is good. So when it comes to our environmental climate action plan and what we do to create sustainability and resilience here in the city, I think it first begins with education. For too many of us, we are not aware of those things that are causing detrimental impacts both now and in the future. And so it's important for me that we work with our school district and our extracurricular programs that engage our young people to really create that awareness and that education, because then we can actually partner together in a collective way to reduce the impact, to create the sustainability. As far as specific solutions, first of all, we absolutely have to focus on the industries and the vehicles that exist within our city, because they create the largest amounts of pollution, greenhouse gas emissions, and other toxins that come into our community. It's also important that as we look at buildings that are being built, both city, public facilities, and new facilities, that we come up with new modes of development, construction, and infrastructure in order to support that. I am supportive of the move towards electrification, moving away from natural gas so that we can reduce the emissions that come from homes as well. When we talk about ways that we can improve our overall environment, we have to acknowledge that the lack of an urban canopy, the lack of trees in the flatlands of East and West Oakland, that has a detrimental effect on not just our environment, but also the peace, the safety. It's proven through studies that the more trees we have, the more the sense of peace, safety, and also mental health that is brought about. For me, these are opportunities of job creation. The more we learn, the more we build, we create new economies, and we can help create the economic opportunities for our residents. Thank you.
Next, we have Senator Scott.
I'm really excited about this question. It gives me a chance to talk about my plan for Department of Agriculture. So I want to create soil-based economies in Oakland that are decentralized and localized. And what that means is we cut down on emissions used to ship food to and from the city. We provide more nutrition-dense land, food for our people. And there are many ways to do this. We have desalinization, we have indoor vertical farming, we have all types of unique techniques to take advantage of our unique climate and arable land to produce more food and plant medicine, adding not only jobs and resources, but an identity that can carry Oakland to a new generation. So we're gonna have to change our lifestyles. Now that we know that our energy and food scarcity is not a fad, that there are indeed scarcities in this world that we're gonna have to deal with, we need to change our lifestyle. What that means is that we're gonna have to do things that we're not used to. We're gonna have to take some sacrifices in the interim to build resiliency and a more prepared community. So when it comes to our climate, Oakland has some of the best climate in the world. What that means is climate refugees are on the way here. Are we ready for them? Thank you.
Thank you. Ignacio de la Fuente.
Maybe I learned. The honest answer is I do not know which programs on 2030 I will support, because I'm worried about now, actually. You know, we have a crisis today. So 2030 is close, but I'm worried about today and tomorrow. So I can tell you that a mayor has to make informed decisions. You know, the people trying to now is politics. So now at the last minute, the 11th hour, talking about coal, coming out this, that, or that. I have never said that I support coal or oppose coal. The job of the mayor is to make sure that you look at in the best interest of the entire city. Not one area, not one person, but the entire city, and make informed decisions. Either decisions that, and the data shows that is detrimental to the community, then I will oppose that. But I can tell you that a mayor of Oakland has the responsibility to make sure that we retain, we attract jobs, we increase our tax base. Otherwise, the only other answer is what you get in November. Raise more taxes and put it in the homeowners and put it in the people in the residents of Oakland. So I will make informed decisions. I will look at the issues, every potential industry, every potential work, and I will make decisions based on that, based on the facts and based on what is in the best interest of the city as a whole. So I do not know at this point what is the program that I will support or not, but I can tell you that I will make the best decision and the best interest of the majority of the city of Oakland. And if we don't have no way to create jobs and opportunities, is what we get, what we have today. People in the streets doing what they are doing because of the lack of opportunities, lack of jobs, the lack of the thing that I believe is essential for the city to survive. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. We have Frederick High.
All right. There's a sign outside that says racism is a sin. And, you know, for me, environmental racism is based on a legacy of redlining and policy decisions that were made without the consent of communities of color. Toxic waste and pollution are a legacy of that same structural racism. So when we think about what's going to happen in West Oakland, where we've got toxins that are likely to seep because of the groundwater swell, we've got to do something extraordinary. We took the no coal pledge as part of our campaign. We're very serious about the legacy that coal would leave for our children. The banning of natural gas for new construction is part of that electrification process that Lauren referenced. I think that there's an opportunity around green tech and technology startups for women and women-owned businesses and people of color to begin the reparations process that we all deserve. McClymonds High School was a sort of canary in the mine. Some of you remember a couple years ago there was a trichloroethylene problem that was found seeping up through the floors of the campus of that high school. And we didn't really do anything about it. We have lead pipes in McClymonds High School, and the kids were required to kind of bring their own water to school. So these issues are today. These issues are right now. These issues are not something that we get to put off for another day. I think that people like Margaret Gordon, who's the founder and director of the West Oakland Environmental Indicators Project, is someone we should be listening to. She's someone who worked on the emissions and air quality when we had a 25% asthma rate because trucks were idling in our West Oakland neighborhood. It's just one example of what we've had to deal with from an environmental racism perspective, and we have to do something about it now.
Thank you. Next, we have Alyssa Victory.
Thank you for the question. Elisa Victory Villanueva, number 7 on your ballot. The Equitable Climate Action Plan has already been passed and adopted, and it is supposed to set goals for us to reduce emissions, to reduce toxic pollutants by the year 2030, meaning we have to be acting now to reach those goals. My platform explicitly is running on exceeding those goals by not just reducing emissions, but also repairing the communities already harmed. I absolutely agree with Baba Haj that we have toxic schools, toxic neighborhoods, entire regions that have been decimated by projects like urban renewal, freeways, ran through housing, ran through our neighborhoods that are still producing a lot of pollution. There's a 10-year less life expectancy for people living in deep East Oakland zip codes than those living in downtown, right? This is a health crisis. This is about our future for all of us. I absolutely have taken the no coal money pledge, the no fossil fuel money pledge in this campaign because we have to green our city. We have to green our industry, our jobs. I'm also committed to setting up a public banking system that will replace our redevelopment powers that we used to have before they were outlawed by the state. Redevelopment allowed us to use our public powers, public employees, public financing to develop our cities, to invest in economic justice, to invest in housing development and local businesses. I advised our city and San Francisco on how to do that back in 2014, and I'm proud there's a coalition statewide and here in the East Bay with Public Bank East Bay that have continued to move those things forward. This is also an equitable climate action plan, so I want to empower our Department of Race and Equity to keep us to those goals of equity, that we start with the communities, again, that are already most harmed, including West Oakland, Chinatown, as well as Deep East Oakland. And I'm proud to have the endorsement of Pen Action and other community orgs.
Okay. So checking time, we're at about 7:30. This will end at 8. So we have a tradition here at St. Columba that unfortunately we're not going to be able to do. But I think it's important for us to share it with you all just so that you know how we do things when you come here. Usually when we have a candidates forum, the last question is, say one thing positive about your opponent. And because you guys have so many candidates here, we'd be here all day for you to be able to do that and have your closing 2 minutes. So we're going to have to table that to next time. Yeah, because we have 2 minutes per question for everyone else. That's the third, that's 20 minutes right there. Okay, everybody's loving our little St. Columba tradition here, okay. All right. Okay, so we'll give you guys 15 seconds each to say, you can't say something positive about for 9 other people though in that amount of time. One person, okay. Okay, person to the left, if there is a person to your left. If not, the person next to you. All right. You have 15 seconds to say something positive about the person on either your right or left side. We'll start with Treva.
Well, the person
She goes all the time.
on my left would be Elisa Victory as I go around the table. I think she's an extraordinary leader. She's a Black woman that I have been incredibly impressed by her integrity. She's an emerged sister. She's a California Black woman Leads member, and I am excited about the fact that she and I are here and both running to serve as the first Black woman mayor in Oakland's 170-year history, and I commend her on her strength and her expertise in her field.
Y'all want to record this, go on ahead. Okay. Next we have Shane Cow.
All right, John Reeman, sitting right next to me. He is a man of his values. He sticks to his values.
Right or left? Right or left? That's fine.
He sticks to his values. He speaks what he feels is the truth from his heart, and he's unapologetic about it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John Ryman.
So there is nobody politically to my left here, but I will speak about somebody who is physically to my left, and she's not a racist. She's not a coal train supporter. She does not believe in trickle-down economics. And so that's at least something that is certainly positive.
Thank you very much.
Wait, we're gonna pause. Genuinely positive about the person to your left.
I thought he said
Left or right? Because I've been going left or right.
You know what? Go where the spirit
left
moves
or right,
you.
but here's the caveat. Something positive. So you can't say something negative about the person to your other side and then continue. So, and then I would have to give him another chance to rebut, which I'm not. So let's keep it positive, please. Peter Liu.
This guy, he smiles a lot. So that's what I like about his pictures. He smiles a lot. That's not something I would do, but he smiles a lot.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
All right. So I was going with my left. Peter is, I think he's funny, or at least entertaining. And I'll say that he's consistent. He shows up and is a regular part of this series, and so that.
Seneca Scott.
Can I do both or just one? I got 15 seconds.
You got 15 seconds. You can choose.
Councilmember Taylor is a father and a husband and a community member, and I like that. And Ignacio, he's a good OG, and he's been very gracious with me because I can be a bit of a pain. So, yeah.
Thank you. Ignacio de la Fuente.
Thank you. Actually, I learned to admire this young guy, really. I mean, it's a commitment, willing to learn, but a commitment to his community, and I think it's something that I admire from people. And start young, so that's good.
Excellent.
Am I right?
Gregory
I know Greg for a long time, and I can tell you one thing that you cannot question is his commitment to his community, and especially in West Oakland, his commitment to education, and he spends his 24/7 doing that. So I admire that and I respect that.
Thank you very much. Gregory Hart.
Yeah, I would say this about Ignacio de la Fuente. He don't always agree with what he says, but he says what he believes. And I think the other thing is he's a grandfather. And so there's a grandfather club. I'm new to the club. I have my first grandkid this year. And then with Elisa, quality person, brilliant, and I'm just see a great future for her no matter what the outcome of this election is.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Elisa Victor.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Treva. Thank you to Baba Haj, who is literally my Baba, who helped mentor me, pour into me, train me, give me his wisdom when I was coming out of college, moving back home to serve and do a lot of the work that he has helped model for me. I also want to just thank everybody on this table with me who helped me get back on this ballot, who made a statement about it, who spoke to the press, who wrote declarations to the city attorney, who called the city on my behalf, because they want a fair election and it requires that I'm on the ballot. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, that wasn't as painful as I thought it was going to be. All right. Okay, last but not least now, we're going to go into our closing statements. Started to our left, we're going to end to our right. Treva, you have 2 minutes to share your closing statement with the rest of us. We're just going down the table. And it's just easier that way. If I started in the middle someplace, people would have a problem with that too. So we're just going to end this way. Go ahead.
Well, I just want to thank you all for the time that you've given us. This is an incredible time of where Oakland is at this crossroads of change, and truly having someone who is going to show up and see us and hear us and respond and deliver on the priorities of the people over the politics and the politrics that I have seen in the time that I have been on council that have been a disservice. I've certainly been in Oakland for decades and have been around a lot of the great work that's taken place in the city. And I believe in this moment of change for us that it will require someone with contagious hope and faith in action that will lead with transparency and from a deep well of love. That is our city's motto. It is love life. And I believe that when you love people, you take care of them. I am one of the oldest born grandchildren of just my father's 10 siblings, of 130 plus grandchildren. And so I learned at an early age how to show up, how to listen, how to take care of my home, how to take care of the community, how to show up in business, how to show up in the community, and really be a place of transforming and changing lives. And that's what we need right now in public safety. We have to reduce the crime. You can love people and hold them accountable. That's how I was raised. We had to pick a switch and get in line. And so I believe that on public safety that we can deliver that accountability. We can invest more deeply and call on our county partners and our state partners and our federal partners to show up for and with us to address the issues that are before us. On housing, we must house our unhoused. When nearly 60 to 70% of them are Black and 40% of the Black Oaklanders have faced displacement, we have not addressed the real issues around housing in the city, and I lead on a task force at the state level, and I will work to get it done. We must protect our small businesses. They are the lifeblood of this city. And we have got to keep Oaklanders working in Oakland. And I have been working on initiatives to get that done. And finally, we got to love on our town. We got to work to keep it clean and beautiful and healthy, and addressing all these environmental hazards and environmental impacts that too many of us are living and faced with every day. Hold me accountable, and we will get the town back on track together. Thank you.
Shane Kyle, you're next.
We are in a crisis. The city of Oakland's in a crisis, multiple crises as a matter of fact, and we can't do this work alone. We need to ensure that we have a mayor who have connection at the state level, at the federal level. And that's why I'm honored to have Attorney General Rob Bonta's endorsement, Speaker Anthony Rendon's endorsement, Majority Leader Eloise Gomez, Congresswoman Judy Chu and Ro Khanna, and many others. We can't get out of these crises by ourselves. And more so than that, we need to ensure that it is our communities that are the most marginalized that receive the most resources. That is why I went and fought for millions of dollars to be earmarked directly to Deep East Oakland parks. Because again, yes, trickle-down effect does not work. We need to be intentional about giving the money directly to the community. And that is what I'm about. I believe that if we are trying to help our community, to give hope to our community, dare we say that, dare we do that, that we have to make sure that it is the pockets of our Oakland residents that we are putting money in. We have to be intentional about the pipelines that we have for our young people. And when I say young people, that's that's high schoolers all the way to 30-year-olds. Creating paid internship year-round. That's how we keep ourselves safe. I am proudly also endorsed by the Democratic Party. I'm the Democratic Party nominee and sole endorsee. And I would love to have your support as well too. I am not the status quo. I do not have the endorsement of Mayor Schaaf. I have been fighting for change my whole life. As a daughter of refugees, as a single mom, as a DV survivor, as a person who has lived in her car with her baby infant, and I have no problem fighting for you. I'm an unapologetic mother who fights for working families, for families who have been underserved and underheard for way too long. Again, I am the candidate to bring unity to the city council, because we know that if we have unity from the mayor's office and the city council members, that we can finally move the city of Oakland forward.
Thank you very much. John Ryman.
Sisters and brothers, I'm the only candidate that reminds you that we have twin freight trains headed down the tracks towards us. The first is the threat of the fascist, connected, racist Republican Party seizing unchecked power at the federal level. The second is the disaster of global warming. And any idea that we can make any positive changes in the city of Oakland without taking on those two twin disasters is, at best, shuffling around the lounge chairs on the decks of the Titanic. We have to have a program and a strategy to develop a working class movement to combat these two twin disasters. And if we don't, then you can rest assured that your grandchildren will thank you not for doing nothing about these things. All these ideas about bring Oakland together, blah, blah, this and that. No, we cannot join together with John Fisher and the other privatizers and the other big corporations. No, trickle-down economics does not work. No, the coal train candidate will be leading us to disaster. So we need a $28 an hour minimum wage. We need public housing. We need a working class party. And yes, let's be blunt about it. We need genuine socialism. I'm not the vote for me and I'll set you free candidate. I'm the working class socialist candidate for mayor. Check out my blog site, oaklandsocialist.com.
Thank you very much. Peter Lewis.
I'm a capitalist Republican, but my ballot designation is an entertainer. I want laughs every day at City Hall. That's how we're gonna bring people together. Because I like laughs, all right? I want people smiling. I want people to be prosperous. I want them to be multimillionaires just like me. And starting with our kids from middle school, I'm gonna teach them the way so they know how to do it right. And when they are successful, they would be very happy individuals, all right? Especially we'll have all parks, sizable parks in Oakland into unique theme park attractions, so we're gonna be having happy kids. My kids will love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Lauren Taylor.
Again, my name is Lauren Taylor. I am a kid from Oakland who has seen the direction that our city is going and can no longer stand on the sidelines. I love this town, but I'm frustrated by it. I'm angry and upset on the condition that we currently live, the condition that my kids are growing up in right here. We can't just be angry though. We can't just be frustrated. We have to make sure that we are channeling that anger and that frustration into community action that actually moves us forward. And to do that, we need a leader that carries what I call the 5 C's. Compassion. I love this town deeply. And I think everyone here does, because otherwise they wouldn't be putting in the time in. But it's not enough to be compassionate and care about folks. We've got to also have connection to the community. Otherwise, we might go along with the loud voices in the room that say we should defund the police instead of saying, hey, yes, we need to move towards a more transformative, a more empowering, equitable public safety system, but yet we also have to make sure that we don't do that without a plan and leave people vulnerable. We also have to have competence, knowing the problems, the challenges, and how to address them. As a proven problem solver outside of City Hall, proving that I can apply those same skills inside of City Hall as a council member, I look forward to doing the same as your next mayor. We have to have the courage to make those tough decisions that aren't popular, but we know are in the best interest of the city, even if that means that we don't get a re-election. That's what I'm committed to doing, because Oakland is in my DNA. Oakland and its future are personal to me. And yes, we also have to have the consistency, showing up day in and day out. That's what I have been doing. That's what I will continue to do. And so I ask for your support and your vote as Oakland's next mayor. Thank you.
Next, we have Senator Scott.
All right, good evening. My name is Senator Scott, number 1 on the ballot. I'm very honored to be running for Oakland's next mayor. I am a post-partisan solutionary. I don't go left to right, I go up, down. Either you have integrity or you don't. There's no integrity in our office right now, in our mayor's office. So that's why I'm an independent. I'm tired of being failed by our duopoly, and I want to return the power to the neighbors. It's new, it's edgy, it's different. You want something different or you want the same? That's the question. You want something different or do you want the same? Different. Thank you. So that's why I'm running, to give you an option. I'm an unconventional candidate for unconventional times. I never saw myself running for office ever, but yet here I am. The next 4 years could be some of the most pivotal years in America's history. And the leaders that you choose could mean your life or your death. It could mean thriving, coming into our promise, finally, as the city that we were meant to be, or a city that continues to collapse and fall and be destroyed. It's on us. We're responsible for this city. We're responsible for picking our leaders. No more deflecting, no more escape avoidance behavior, no more apathy, no more normalcy bias. Get involved, vote, talk to your neighbors, make an informed decision, vote for Senator Scott for Oakland Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Ignacio de la Fuente.
Thank you very much. You know, I came to, my name is Ignacio de la Fuente, and I came to the city 51 years ago, and I stay here by choice. I live in West Oakland first, East Oakland, Fruitville, back to East Oakland. I love the city and I know the city. And I'm coming back running out to change the world and change everything, or promise everything. I'm back just to take care of the basics. I'm tired of my car getting broken into. I'm tired that people cannot go down to get a cup of coffee. I'm tired to see that businesses are leaving. I'm tired to see that we used to have 3 sport franchises and we're about to lose the last one. I'm tired that Oakland is the dumping ground of the East Bay. And I'm gonna change that. I know that climate change is important, all of those things are important, but I'm gonna concentrate on the basics. I'm running 1 term, no handcuffs. I'm gonna make the decisions that are necessary to make sure that the city is safe, it's clean, and it's for all of us, from north to south and east to west. I'm here just to make sure that I pay back. I came to the city without a penny in my pocket 51 years ago, and I became a council member. I had a very good job, a very good life, raised a family, and I want to pay back. I have nothing else to do except make sure that the city is back to what it used to be. The city can accept all of us, and the city is safe and clean for you and your children and our families. Simple as that. Nothing fancy, just the basics. So thank you very much for the time.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you for being here tonight. Thank you to all of our hosts, the organizations who pulled this together. We're now, 12 days out from a really important election. This election, you're gonna get an option, you're gonna get a choice. You get to choose between professional politicians or community leaders. You get to choose between people who are satisfied with doing business as usual, even though they may talk about doing things differently, versus people who are really interested in systems transformation. Years ago, one of our African American women leaders, Dorothy Height, said that leadership is a capacity to respond to the situation of the moment. Oakland finds itself in a situation. We find ourselves in a moment, and that moment will require all of us to bring hope to bear, to bring healing to bear. Our approaches for how we do this work may differ. And this is where you ought to really make the choice. You ought to really be clear about how you make a choice for the next group of leaders that you want in this city. School board, city council, board of supervisors, as well as the mayor. One of the things that I know to be true in my heart is that Oakland is a place that can do better. Oakland is a city that can be what it is that we want to become. We just all got to lean into it. We got to bring some hopefulness to it. All of these dire stories about everything that's bad, there's something really good here. Vote for Greg Hodge. Hope and Healing is my platform. www.hodgeforoakland.com is where you can find more information about our campaign. God bless you.
Thank you very much. Alisa Victory.
Thank you all for having me this evening. Elisa Victory Villanueva, number 7 on your ballot. My website is victoryforoakland.com, as well as social media is Victory for Oakland. I am running because I'm a daughter of Oakland. I'm Oakland's past, present, and its future. Right? I'm running to be the first Black woman, the first renter, the first civil rights attorney, first person who had to fight my way back onto the ballot because I know the city's laws and our charter better than our city attorney, and I used to work in our city attorney's office. Right? We have a crisis of democracy. There's still 3 other people who were put off this ballot by the clerk's antics. We don't have our youth, 16 and 17-year-olds, voting in our school board election, which should have happened right now. I was a sponsor of that measure, but our county registrar has delayed that 2 years. We have great things that have already been legislated, that have already been budgeted. An example is the vacancies. Those are vacant positions that we already have money for. We need someone who is going to act, and I'm about action, not about lip service. If y'all were here earlier today, I was walking around your neighborhood, inviting people to this event, talking to the businesses, talking to your neighbors, and that is what informs my leadership, is all of you, being proximate to you, being from this city, living in every part of this city, and being directly impacted by issues like homelessness. By COVID, I am caring for my 15-year-old godson who was orphaned by COVID over this past year. Right? I am running to really serve people. I'm running so I can stay here, so that my godchild can stay here, so that we can have a world-class city where all people can thrive, can be safe, can be healthy, and have equal opportunity, equal economic options, equal opportunity to thrive here. It's a crisis of leadership that is centering all of the crises we're experiencing. I know because I've advised many of our electeds, our commissions, trained people, written policies with our police, and I see people not actually acting. I'm about action. Please vote Victory this November 8th and spread the word.
Thank you all for participating in this. I want to thank our co-sponsors, Faith in Action East Bay, National Coalition of 100 Black Women, Inc., Oakland Bay Area Chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, Alpha Nu Omega Chapter, Knights of Peter Claver, Ladies Auxiliary, Black Women Organizing for Political Action, WAPA, Oakland Berkeley Chapter, National Association for the Advancement of Colored Peoples, NAACP, Oakland Chapter, and last but not least, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, Bay Area, Berkeley Bay Area Alumni Chapter. I want to thank all of the candidates for showing up. We didn't think we would get this many when we thought about this. We, as you can tell, this community here cares about our city. And we want to make sure that you know that we care, but also that you're always welcome to come here to fellowship with us on our masses over the weekend. We expect, no matter who gets elected, we expect to see you again. We expect to hold you accountable for the things that you shared today. And the invitation will extend to you right now, every New Year's Eve. So when you guys are out, getting ready to party and have a good, bring in the new year, we're out here at 3 o'clock p.m. retiring those crosses that are in our yard. We have a ceremony. In the past, some of you have been there. We know we always invite the mayor, and the mayor typically does come to that. But we would like to see you there, as well as see you at any other community-related event that we do. So we have an open invitation, and all of you who are visiting, you are all welcome to attend our church as well. We have masses on Saturday and masses on Sunday. With that, I want to thank you for giving up your time to be able to share your point of view with us, and we look forward to seeing you again and hopefully calling you mayor. Thank you. Can we get a picture right in the front before you guys depart?